the video camera to go ahead and blur out that background so that you're not stuck on details of the background if you've got any imperfections. We do have three backgrounds there. We've got two that are paper backgrounds, so you'll have to pull them all the way out to get to the point where they haven't been mucked around with. There's a vinyl black backdrop down there. The main thing is that if you're not directly placing light on the background, it should function perfectly fine. So no reason to light the background. When it comes to rolling those up and down, you want to make sure that they don't start spindling one side or another. So make sure that they roll back up straight. You can shift those rolls a bit. It looks like it's going to fall apart any minute, but it's always looked like that. It's intentional. It's supposed to look like that. We like industrial decay here. So, it helps with shifting it and making sure that that roll goes all the way up the right way. You have to have a spotter on both sides to make sure that it doesn't start rubbing into the wood, which will rip the paper. Vinyl, you don't have to worry about nearly as much, but the paper, if you look at it the wrong way, it'll start ripping. So definitely got to watch out for that. If you're using your own backdrops, we also do have 1, 2, 3 pieces of piping there that you can go ahead and attach whatever kind of background you want there. We've got a few off to the side there, a few more stools to play around with. But suffice it to say, you should have the ability to go ahead and have 3 easy backdrops for whatever you want. When it comes to lighting though, what are you guys thinking of for lighting? What kind of lighting do you want to do?
Interview.
Okay.
Just basic.
Okay. So pretty basic. Lighting will work perfectly fine in here. Let me go ahead and please situate it. Whoop. Always make sure you know where your feet are. It's nice and easy to trip over stuff. I always do. When it comes to using this lighting, make sure that the power box is off of this nice cushy rubber matting, because that tends to create a lot of static charge and will start bursting off the strobe lights in here. If you have anyone that's even mildly epileptic, you'll probably be calling the ambulance for them. So probably not a good thing. Okay, so when it comes to lighting, let's talk about what these various buttons do. On button over here, you have on with model light off. You guys are going to be using the modeling light, so you need to make sure that this position is on like so. When you're looking to connect any of the lights, make sure that you line up the white line with the top of the box. That way that goes in nice and easily. If everything's working, you should hear and see things. See the light on and hear the fan, okay? So if you don't hear the fan and the light's on, don't use the light, okay? You run the risk of ruining the light, and that's why I'm giving you a demo today, because someone last year ended up working with the lights when the fan was off, it overheated, it fed back into the box, blew other lights, and we ended up running through about $3,000 worth of equipment. So, because of that, we talk about this now. So, depending on what kind of lighting you're looking for, depends on how far you want this light to be away or close to your model. I'd suggest lining it up to where it's fairly even with your model. You don't want that lighting coming from way up above, making your interviewees look angelic. Probably not the right lighting. So something off to the side. You can pitch the light however you want, and then you use the sandbag by moving it back and forth and anchoring it in place to balance it out like that. So, other than that, there's not much for that kind of standard lighting. You've got a twist here that you can go ahead and play around with to get it even more to your liking, whatever that may be. In this case, I'm gonna move this around. There. Now, that's in a much better. So if you don't mind sitting down. So then you go ahead and play around with the positioning of the lighting, how close it is, and then you can use things like the reflectors that we have back here to bounce back some of that light to the other side of their face and warm that up. You could also have another one of these softboxes running a little bit further away to go ahead and give a soft glow on this side rather than, you never want just balanced light, because why bother at that point? Why are you using studio lighting if you're doing the same thing that you could in the classroom? So,
what do you mean by that, Jason?
So if you have two lights on the same side going at the same same intensity, it's going to blend out all the shadows, not really make it look appealing. You want some difference in lighting ratio. So bouncing this back, this side is still the dark side of her face, but it's got enough light to where it's not completely in shadow.
Okay. And if we were to use a second light box, you say to put it back further?
Yeah, so you can put it back further. There's a couple other options for lighting. I wouldn't suggest the hot lamp, but depending on what kind of exposure your video cameras are getting, you may have to use something like this. I'm intentionally pointing it away because this gets really, really bright and really hot. So we have a few other options for the. Excuse me while I dig for a few things.
Chelsea, how do you feel the future will be shaped by your generation?
I feel that the future is going to be better because the quality of our education at UAF is outstanding.
Good answer.
Thank you.
Okay. So these are called hot lamps. You want to guess why they're called hot lamps?
They get hot.
Yes.
Woo!
Ooh. Bonus points. Okay, so because of that, number one, I wouldn't suggest pointing it directly at your model. Always gotta love finding broken equipment. So, either way, it's really bright, okay? But you could end up using this in conjunction with a softbox to go ahead and play around with the lighting.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, okay. Keep this from pointing to your model, because this gets really hot. Your models will literally sweat under this light. So the less you have this on, the better off. As well, just because you turned it off doesn't mean that it's not that it's cool enough to touch. So give it a couple minutes. You will literally hear this thing start tinging because the metal is expanding. It gets that warm. Okay, so watch out with that. I've got a different umbrella that you guys can use to bounce this light back.
Are there any limits to how long this light should be left on?
No, you know, it's all right. I wouldn't suggest going past, you know, the 30-minute mark without giving it a break.
Sure.
But, you know, when you're setting up, no reason to have the lights on. Go ahead and do that with the overheads. The less that you have the lights on, the better. Keep these flanges open. This allows for quick and safe storage if you close these things. But on the other hand, if you operate it when it's nice and closed like that, it'll get way too hot and burn out the lamp much faster. Okay. So, other than that, that's pretty much it. Any questions?